Good morning, everyone. It's Natalie Alicia Gold with the Gold Standard, and I'm here with one of my dear friends, Nikki Arias. Hey, Nikki.
Hi, how's everyone going?
Everything is great. So Nikki and I were actually introduced through my little sister, Nikki, who is my biological sister and happens to be Nikki's big sister in her sorority. So Nikki went from sorority queen, vice president, really leading, a multiple 100-person organization to now starting her own lifestyle brand in Miami. So Nikki, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
So tell us, you went from in school, in college, and very much in college, the atmosphere is teaching you how to work for a corporation, to have a job. And you didn't go that way. You chose and blazed your own path. So why did you choose to do that?
So that is correct. I think especially going to school in New York City was a big eye-opener for me. I don't feel like there's many entrepreneurs in New York as there used to be. And I think that's just because of the endless opportunities there are to work for huge corporate names. So, undoubtedly so. So that being said, after I did graduate, I started my career in sales, and I did work day and night in the corporate American. I mean night because there were many nights I spent in the office too. So with that being said, there had to, be a point in my life where I questioned what my true passions, were. So I came to the realization, and after many friends had always told me too, that my true passion more so lied in the creative side of life. As much as I love sales, I also have another side to me, in which that's my creative side. And I love to write. I love to take photos. I love to edit photos. I love to kind of make my own brand. I've always been told how talented I am and my writing acumen, how I've always been able to curate things and really just make everyone feel like certain things in life are attainable. I think a lot of influencers these days definitely range from, more on the spectrum of higher valued items or clothing, and then more spectrum, more influencers in my age group kind of gear more towards the more affordable range. So that being said, I just kind of wanted to launch into something different, like you had mentioned, of the typical corporate 9 to 5, and really just make everyone feel like they can be the best version of themselves, because I know that this blog has allowed me to feel that every day. So I just really want every woman to feel that, and hopefully I can kind of be an inspiration in that sense.
Beautiful. And talk to me a little bit about how your clients come to you, because truly the brands and the people trying to get their name out there, my understanding is they would call an influencer and say, Nikki, I love what you're doing and I want you to put this out to your network. So truly you are still selling.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, you're able to sell multiple different things, not just one company's product.
Mm-hmm. So when I first started out, that actually wasn't necessarily my intention. Of course, every blogger's goal is to eventually collaborate with big name brands. So in the very beginning, I just wanted exposure as much as I could get it. So I started off by following, other influencers, gaining creative ideas from other influencers. Hashtagging was a big thing for me. And before I knew it, every time I posted a photo, I was fortunate enough to go to my inbox and see a request from a company asking to collaborate with me. So in a way, you're absolutely correct in saying that I am still selling, and sales will always be something that I'm very much passionate about. I love the idea of impacting people's lives through something you can offer. So they did reach out to me, and one of my biggest achievements recently has been partnering with Amazon. So I've been officially named as an Amazon influencer, which has been phenomenal. I'm an Amazon addict. So that was
Listen, thank God for Amazon. If we couldn't have this pandemic without Amazon.
No, I wouldn't be able to. I mean, half of my life is literally belonging to Amazon. So it was very fitting. And, it's really fun to be able to sell your creativity to different brands. And it's really remarkable and humbling to know they want to collaborate with you and believe in your brand.
It's beautiful. So how do you choose which brands you actually want to work with? What is your process like?
So I'm glad you asked that, because that's a huge misconception I think a lot of people at this point may have about my blog and my brand and the direction it's going in. I have turned down a myriad of brands that wanted to collaborate with me. So in terms of the kind of brands I want to collaborate with. At this point, am looking to really collaborate with a lot of female-owned businesses. I think men are amazing entrepreneurs, and I'm not going to say that I would never accept an offer from a male-owned brand, but I'm really more passionate about female-owned brands. So that's always one thing that I look out for. Another thing too is if it's something that I personally would wear. I think a lot of people assume that, you're just going to wear what anybody else wear, but the reason people like my page is because I'm expressing my individuality. So I'm not going to partner with a company that I wouldn't see myself wearing or fitting in. Another huge thing, because like I mentioned earlier, it's not just fashion. I really harp on self-care, skincare, makeup, etc. And a big thing I've really focused on is working only with cruelty-free brands. I refuse to work with any brand that tests on animals. That's been one thing. And I even turned down a company the other day that really couldn't be honest with me and saying they don't use that they aren't cruelty-free. So that is the first thing I ask anytime a skincare product asks me to collaborate with them. So those are my 3 focal points right now.
I love that, Nikki. And you are truly an inspiration because many people, you're now 24 years old?
Yes, 24. Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people are not thinking about starting their own business, and although they may have a great Instagram following, mm-hmm. but their mind is not on monetization of that. How can I build this as a foundation for my own business?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So
what was the leap for you? What was it that made you confident enough to be able to do that?
So I have been thinking about blogging and writing and, being an influencer on Instagram since actually college. And I think that's something that Nicole can actually vouch for me too. I had always been very much into, aesthetically appealing photos and etc. So I think the jump was honestly quarantine. Unfortunately, I did lose my job in May. I lost my 9-to-5 job in May. And that gave me a lot of free time on my hands. And I truly believe that life is always going to just happen the way it's meant to, and everything truly, as cliche as it sounds, happened just for a reason. So truth be told, had I not lost my job in May, I probably wouldn't be in this podcast right now. Because when I do something, I go full force. So I was so invested in my job at the time that I didn't make time for Instagram. I didn't make time to write or anything I really love to do. So I would say that, as weird as it sounds, not everything you lose is a loss, and losing my job is, monetarily wise, just have its downfalls, but it led me to definitely launch my brand.
What I love is truly that silver lining of the pandemic. And I think many people were on the sidelines of life. I mean, they were working in their jobs, but you were then working to make your boss a lot of money. Mm-hmm. As opposed to being able to truly be the captain of your own destiny, of course, with the Almighty, leading us. So Nikki, tell us from a brand's perspective, what is the best way to approach an influencer? Because many of my viewers are business owners.
Okay.
So talk to us about, from this perspective, what you wish the brands that come to you would know.
Okay, great question. So not only on my own Instagram photos, but I've seen on multiple people's I know who do have a very good Instagram following, or just for lack of a better word, like really good content, right? I really get turned off when a brand comments on my photo, collaborate, ? Like DM us. It doesn't really do it a lot for me. It feels so impersonal. And it really just feels like a copy and paste. And I put so much love and effort into my brand that I would never want to work with someone who doesn't do the same for theirs. So in terms of, I want to focus on the positive, the things to do are curate your messages. And I learned this through sales, because I learned this through cold calling. No one wants to be a copied and pasted person, So I think the biggest thing that I've always been really drawn to companies who want to work with me or tell me, hey, I love your style. I love that you are always wearing neutrals. I love that you're always focusing on natural beauty, etc. Whatever the case may be for that person. With that being said, I think it aligns well with our brand. Would you want to move forward in a collaboration? I think really tailoring it is the key to any success. And this doesn't just go for influencers collaborating. I think it's beyond that. I think it's for everything in life. So really just pay attention to the person you're reaching out to, because, you know, you want your brand to get exposure, and you want to make sure that your influencer who's doing it is just as passionate as you are.
So to me, what I'm really hearing, and this is very much a cultural shift in generation,
Mm-hmm.
Gen Z, which you are a part of, is very much about having their own voice and their own personhood come to the front. And I think it's because, you know, you guys were raised in a social media world.
Yeah.
You were able to build a brand as a 12-year-old
Mm-hmm.
and keep
Which
that
is crazy,
going.
but yeah.
So what I think that this can be so helpful for companies is understand who are the people working for you or collaborating with you and what they're actually looking for. Now, Nikki, when people come to you and they're like, look, I want to pay you for this post, or they say, I want you to collaborate in a greater way in an affiliate capacity, which
Okay.
way is more appealing to you and why?
I would say probably a paid post. I think ultimately that's always going to gain more exposure. Not only, look, as much as you want to help a brand, you also want to help yourself. And I've noticed that I personally, because I monitor my engagement and my analytics on every post or even story I post, I've noticed the most success, not only for the brand, but for myself on Instagram posts that are labeled at the top, paid partnership with blank. I think it only makes the influencer look a lot more legitimate, but it does make the brand a little bit more appealing to the eye too, because it seems like a reputable brand at that time, you know? I've seen multiple, you know, brands and clothing lines and even vitamins and things like that that I've seen certain people collaborate with, but I'm like, but you know, if every influencer's working with them, it kind of turns me off as a consumer. So I think that's a bigger thing when I see like a paid partnership with someone more than like an affiliate program.
Very interesting, because, you know, from my perspective as a business owner for many years, I would think that the affiliate program, which gives continuous revenue, would be more interesting. But actually, you're telling me the opposite is true. So
Yeah.
I'm wondering how brands who might be thinking like long term in that way can actually appetize the influencer to want them involved, but to also say like, oh, Nikki's posted so well, how do we have her in a longer term project? Nikki, any
Yeah.
ideas about that?
In terms of that, I think just people like variety. I think people really don't like to see the same content coming from the person. As much as it's important to keep a theme, because I'm a firm believer in a theme, like at least in my Instagram right now, I go based off very seasonal things. I'm a firm believer in like you have to be appealing to the eye in terms of what's going on right now. So if you go on my Instagram page right now, I purposely for the month of summer, I've kept a very white tone, very clean slate kind of look. So that being said, I think for brands, just make sure you're going with the times. Like there have been companies that have reached out to me, like a sandal company, and what am I really gonna do with that in the fall? You know, so maybe think of like a boot that I can sell or a certain sneaker I can sell in the fall or whatever the case may be. So just as long as you're being aware of the times, then and like what's going on in the world at the moment, then that's what's most important.
What's really interesting to me is a lesson I learned through much of my TV experience and press is that you are basically taking your channel as a news channel.
Mm-hmm.
And you're saying, if you want to be newsworthy, then you have to tie it in to what is happening in the world at that time.
Exactly. That could not be more accurate. And I'm very vulnerable in these things too. And I'm very honest. That's one thing I did promise myself when I started my blog is the truth of the matter is I think everyone loves to portray the perfect picture on Instagram. And no one's life is perfect. Mine isn't perfect. The person who posted a picture and got a million likes life is not any better than mine. And that's one thing I think a lot of young girls need to realize, because I was guilty of it too, falling into that perfect photo trap. And I had someone reach out to me recently and say, hey, look, I love your new brand. I love your new content, but I kind of want to see a little things more current events with you. And that was a big eye opener to me. I was like, wow, that's really courageous of that person and really kind of that person to be that honest with me. And that ultimately is goes back to what you say. You have to be with the times, especially if you're going to be on a social platform.
Yeah, what brands don't really understand, and even experts who go to speak on shows, and people are always asking me, like, it has to be newsworthy. Like, no one cares about your product unless it ties into, number one, what that platform believes in and who that person is. And number two, like, why is this relevant? It's funny too, because relevance is something we learn in the law and evidence. We want to make it relevant to the case. And I wish people would take that relevant idea and actually put it into their business marketing. I think they'd be a lot more successful.
I agree. I totally agree.
What's your big why?
My big why? Can you elaborate on that a little bit? I actually never been asked that.
Why are you doing what you're doing? What is it that drives you?
Oh, okay, yeah. So why am I doing what I'm doing? So I am currently at a point in my life right now where I'm just going to go with whatever feels right. And there doesn't have to be a rhyme or reason for it. It's more so just whatever feels right. One thing I've always aspired to do has been write a book. And I know you've written your own, which has been amazing. And that's something since I was about 20 years old, I've always wanted to do. And I'm on the pathway of doing it. But I also believe in the similar way that you've done, you have to build your way up. I don't think things just happen overnight. And I can't expect to write a book overnight and just, become a New York, Times bestseller overnight. So I think everything is
that I'm launching a new book platform, so we're going to talk.
Good. I love that. And the other thing I think too is this kind of backtracks to what I was saying earlier. I think quarantine and I think COVID-19 has kind of put a pause in everyone's life and has really allowed people to reflect on what's important, what's not important, etc. And I don't know, I've been following influencers for as long as I can remember. And I've noticed that and this is full transparency, I think there's a huge lack in vulnerability and a huge lack in truth and honesty within these influencers' lives. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I go on Instagram and just see a girl posting her cute outfit, which is fine. That is what I love. I love fashion. I'm all for that, and you best believe I'll do it too. But at the same token, you're more than just your Instagram outfit. There's a person behind that outfit, and I think that's one thing that maybe, really provoked me to do this, because I think everybody assumes, the popular girl, the pretty girl doesn't have struggles or whatever the case may be. And I've always been told that, it seems like nothing bothers you and you have such a perfect life. It's like, I have a very beautiful life, but there's a lot of moments where I cry. There's a lot of moments where I doubt myself. And I think it's important for young girls to have someone to look up to for that. So, I almost want to be the little girl that I almost want to be the older girl I wish I had when I was younger. So that's my big why.
Well, I think that is perfect. And that's the big reason I am putting on this show. It's to show different role models and how they've done it. Because to me, we are so often that sad little girl, and we have insecurities no matter what level of success, no matter what we look like today.
Of course.
And those things really can hold people down, and I'm sick and tired of it.
I am too. I'm tired of it. I mean, I don't know. I'm seeing a huge shift in the influencer world where women are being a little more vulnerable about their situations. And I'm not saying you have to sit there and mope about your life, because there's a lot of beautiful things in life, and who's to say you shouldn't share them? Life isn't, it's not meant to be that, but it's also meant to show, like, look, today maybe posting a picture of me out in Europe with my fiance, tomorrow maybe crying because we got into a fight. And those are things that I think people are very open and vulnerable about. So I don't know. I feel like a lot of young women fall into I call it the perfect photo trap. And I kind of want to break the glass ceiling with that and show, like, it's okay to have yin and yang in your life. So
it's beautiful. You have been such a wonderful guest, Nikki. Thank you for your time. We love you, and we're sending you so many good vibes in Miami.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right.